Welcome to the Overheard podcast, recorded live in Banff. My name is Dan Rudel. With me always is my co-host,
Matty Rage.
Matty Rage. What's good? 44th episode, new year,
No doubt.
new us.
No doubt, dude. New us. New everything.
New
it's
everything.
A new year, man. Everything's new.
Our guest today, Caleb Pearse, born and raised Alberta boy, retired mechanic, proud nerd, lived in the UK as well as Japan, strong passion for travel and tourism. It's mostly what we're going to be talking about today. Former tour guide, loves to share his love of Canada with anyone that will listen. Aspiring entrepreneur, really misses bartending. Stays in Banff to share the wonders of Canada has to offer with all the visitors, swap travel stories, and keep his bottomless social battery full. Huge advocate for mental health and the hardship of keeping on top of it. So grateful to have grown up in the 90s. And what's the last bit? Definitely a pine for a slower way of life. Love train travel, listening to vinyl. Less time on social media is better for the planet unless it's listening to the Overheard podcast. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much. I'm glad to be here.
Thanks for taking the time to do this, Caleb. First of all, we'll start. We haven't been back in a long time. How was everyone's holidays? What did you guys get up to?
Holidays for me were surprisingly quiet. Nice. I've been off work for a little bit, just recovering from an injury, but I'm from Calgary and I have some family there. I was able to spend a bit of time with some of my family, but a few years ago I did kind of an orphan's Christmas at my house here in Banff.
Nice.
As we do.
This is my home, right? Yep. And this is where a lot of my really important friends are, who are somewhat family to me. And so I wanted to do that again. Cool. So I hosted all day. We did a big brunch, which rolled into we made a charcuterie out of my entire coffee table.
All right.
Nice. And then we had roasted ham and we did barbecue turkey legs as well.
That's the way to go. The dark meat's the best on a turkey anyways. The breast is always so dry.
Never done barbecue turkey legs. My buddy Ryan did it. He did a stellar job, and it was phenomenal. So it was pretty chill.
Nailed it, eh?
Got back to work in the last week.
Cool.
Helped out through the holidays a little bit, but I've been taking it easy for the most part.
Awesome.
Nice. Dan, you had a little trip. Where'd you go?
I went down to Nelson. Yeah, we did a week in Nelson. We beat a storm into town. It was pretty wild, 20, 30 centimeters overnight.
Oh, why?
But we were staying pretty lakeside, so it's very weird, the weather there. We woke up to a foot of slush. It was I don't know, if you've never been to southern interior, the southern interior is wet and heavy. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
It was crazy just to see the difference in weather. Went to our hot spring, stayed out there. It was really nice. I love Nelson.
Ainsworth?
Yeah,
it's so good.
It's the best, man. What else did I do? Geez, I came back, did Christmas dinner. I did a whole turkey, brined it for 3 days. Came out fantastic, not dry at all.
Nice.
Then spent the New Year's working. That's pretty much it.
Sweet.
You had a pretty exciting New Year's, didn't you there, Matt?
Oh yeah, I had a pretty good one. Yeah, I got Town of Banff. I had the pleasure of being booked by Town of Banff to go DJ some tunes down in the park, and it was a great night. The other acts up there were awesome. I did 3 little DJ sets and had the crowd moving a little bit. So
it sounded really good. Thanks, I was up at Chuck's on New Year's and it was thumping good.
Oh, nice. Let's go. So there were some people there that said they tried to get into come see me, and they're like, dude, I was stuck a block away. I couldn't get anywhere close to you. So that was good.
Success. Congratulations. Shout out to the town of Banff putting on a sick party.
No doubt. Yeah, there was a few thousand people down there for sure. So I was slightly nervous, but you know how it goes. Once you get first song done, you're just you're rocking and rolling. So did that, and then I got a couple more local gigs coming up, which we'll keep everyone posted on. But 2025, it's DJ Matty Rage, I guess, is what we're doing.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So back to you, Caleb. You said originally from Calgary?
Born and raised. Which I always try and actually explain to people that's a bit of a thing, because when I was a kid, Calgary was 600,000 people. And now it's pushing 2 million people.
For sure.
So
that's wild.
Even I don't know, when I'm 18, 20 years old, people are like, oh, you're from here. So many people who live in Calgary have moved there.
100%.
Right.
And I left and traveled for a long time, and I came back and I didn't even recognize the city. There's 15 new high rises finished, and
Oh, right.
So yeah, it was a completely different place to what it is today. I love visiting Calgary, but it's not the same place as what I grew up, and that's okay. That's just like how the world goes. But
For sure. But I think Calgary, like, probably one of the faster developing cities in all of Canada as far as like population growth, and
for many parts of my life, is the fastest growing city in North America. Actually,
there you go.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, I think we're seeing that as well here on the outskirts of it as well, right? Like I know
right now we got the big Alberta migration going on. People
time.
coming from BC and Ontario, cashing in on their houses because you can still buy a house in Alberta for $500,000-600,000. So sell their condo for $800,000 in Toronto.
Yeah,
they got a couple $100,000 left over and get a house here
for sure.
That's why we're getting that big migration going on. Doubt. So, but I am very humbly grateful that I got to grow up in Alberta because, like, it was always good times for most of my life when I look back at it. Like when I was around 18 was like boom time when oil was over $100 a barrel and like everyone had money everywhere. No one, jobs were everywhere. Money was plentiful.
Well, I don't know how old you are. I came out here for the first time I came from Ontario. I think I was on a trip when I was 16 and we're getting toured around by my dad's cousin Anthony and his son. Big shout out. Nice. And it was the first year that I think the province gave the citizens money back.
Ralph bucks.
Yeah, like they gave the citizens like $200 each or something, as long as you're $400. There you go. Like and this was what? This would have been early 2000s, right?
Yeah.
It was wild. I'm like, what? Like the government just gives you money here? Like that's how booming it was.
Still kind of is too, because like Ralph Klein, King Ralph, we called him. He paid off the Alberta debt.
Yeah.
Gave everyone $400. Mm-hmm. But on the other side, like people are like, yeah, awesome. But also he like cut a lot of public services. And famously, he blew up the General Hospital, which is where he was born.
Wild.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Wild.
Yeah.
While we're on the topic of politics, big stuff in the news currently. Justin Trudeau yesterday announced his stepping down. Well, somewhat.
Kinda.
Not till March.
Yeah.
So I actually heard this conspiracy theory. I don't know if it's conspiracy or if it's true, but there's a whole bunch of members of parliament that are about to get their pensions. And this is why this is all dragged on. So then, like, I think there's like 40 or 50 members of parliament that stand to get their pension as long as this drags out past like January 30th or something. And now it's being dragged out till March. So it's like a couple $1 million swing per each individual as far as what they get from the government as far as their pension package. So, yeah.
So definitely in the last, 5+ years, I've gotten more involved in politics. I more care about everything that goes on and you have to pay attention. So
for sure,
definitely I'm well into this. And, I was, there's one little clip that I like to follow one guy and he made a really good point. He's like, he could have just straight stepped down, but he's like, I'm going to wait until they pick a new leader. And he prorogued government, which means now Canadian government's canceled until March.
Can't do nothing.
So that gives them an extra couple months. When they could have, if things stayed status quo, we would have had an election called at the end of January.
Yeah.
Now it can't be called till the end of March, which means we won't have a new prime minister till the end of May, probably. So it gave them a couple more months.
Which is so
steal, if you want to call it. I don't know. Get your pension, whatever you want to call it.
It's still a pretty strange move considering what's going on down south with they're pushing to cut government spending and our government seems to want to do nothing but spend, which is kind of crazy. I think that's probably a point that the Canadians should focus on. Is
my big take is whatever they want to hold power longer, or they want to sort out their leadership, or they want to take their pension, whatever those reasons are. Like we got new government coming down south, which is like really important, and we need to be prepared for this. And all this other stuff really seems not important comparatively. So I'm a bit disappointed. I wish it had gone a bit different, but at least we're going to get some movement, which I think we need no matter what, whoever it is.
I think we can all agree that movement is necessary. The timing of it, though, like again, we should be, like you mentioned, should be prepared for what's coming down south instead of being in a deadlock and kind of having our hands tied. Man. But hey, we're not here to talk about that.
Yeah.
Why did you move to Banff though?
Okay, so
Calgary to Banff?
Yeah, you guys will have to help me because you
don't see that too often.
People who know me well know I'm a storyteller and I can ramble on and get a little winded. So I'll try to, so I went traveling on and off for about 7 years.
Yeah.
We can get into that after. But I got through a series of events, some family stuff, and then I went on one last trip where I committed to some weddings and I was just feeling burnt out and lonely. I met some of the most amazing people ever traveling the world, but friendships weren't lasting. right? You meet great people. Hello, goodbye. Hello, goodbye. It's hard on the soul. So I was like, it's time for me to put my feet back down, build a life.
Mm-hmm.
I had decided that I wanted to live in the mountains. I was very clear about that. I actually had Revelstoke in my sights.
Cool.
But because I've been gone so long, I was feeling really disconnected from family, long-term old school friends, people in Calgary, essentially.
Yeah.
So I thought, when I move home, I'm going to move to Banff for about a year, get settled, rebuild some friendships, relationships, and then when the time's right, move on to Revelstoke. That was my rough plan.
Kind of like a happy medium, you know?
Yeah.
Like still see the family,
Ease
still in the
into it.
mountains.
Yeah. Landed here. I moved here right when the Mount Royal burned down, so like finding work was real tough.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I grinded my way in, found a place, found a job, and then got a better job, got a better place, and then started building a life and kind of forgot about the Revelstoke thing. Life was good, honestly.
Yeah,
like I was
like,
well, why do I need to change anything? And so I just ended up staying. Now, at the end of 2019, I lost my house because of Banff.
Yep.
Classic.
And
Enough said. Yeah.
I had a new job opportunity lined up at the same time, which dried up because of people.
Because of Banff.
Because of Banff. And I was really disheartened. I was like, I try really hard to be a decent person in this town, so why do I want to stay here?
Yeah.
At the same time, I had a chance to move to Revelstoke, to move into a friend of mine's house. And I was like, you know what? I've always kind of fantasized about like living there. I'm never going to know unless I give it a shot. This is my chance. So I moved there at the end of 2019. It was a hard struggle. I moved under the wrong circumstances, honestly. And then the pandemic happened after it hadn't already been going well.
Damn.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
So then I floated around for 2020 for a while, lived out of my van for a while, moved back to Calgary for a little bit because I was like, maybe this will be good. It'll be good to get close to family. And after like a month in Calgary, I was like, man, I got to get back to Banff. Why did I leave? Like, I built this great life and I have all these friends here and I enjoyed life. Just because a couple bad things happened, I shouldn't have left. I made a rash decision. So that was like a hard but good lesson for me.
Yeah.
Beginning of 21, I came back. And so now why I live and stay in Banff and all that gave me perspective on that is I love tourism and travel. I fell in love with that big time when I went off and lived in the UK. And this is the best place for it in Canada.
Everyone
It's
here,
a good
like
base. It's a good home base, man.
The whole world comes here, but also something else like Banff attracts exceptional people.
I would agree with you there.
It really does. Some really incredible. Some of the people I know who work in town, they work normal jobs. The stuff they did before they come here, if you actually have a conversation, you're just like, you did what? You're who?
I have a little story about this. There's a gentleman I used to work with, Hernan. I believe he drives for Rome Transit.
Okay.
But he used to be like a secret service for the president of the Philippines. And then like, when he got here, like he cut a box of tomatoes in like 2 minutes, like insane, crazy knife skills. He would tell these stories about like missions that he had been on with the army in the Philippines. And he's just like a line cook, like just loving life here. You know what I mean? It's crazy, but sorry.
Despite the hardships that we have living in town, everyone has whatever, but people choose to live here for the lifestyle that Banff offers, which is very unique. It's hard to describe to people who don't live here. It takes time to understand that when you move here. And I value that greatly. And especially since I moved back in the last 3 years, I've really started to see even more the value of the long-term community here.
For sure.
And how people really like to look out for each other, care for each other. If you ask, people are going to show up if
100%.
it really matters.
I think we touched on that a little bit with Cricket's episode and the whole concept of like your friends or your family here, like orphan Christmas and whatever. Like when things go wrong here, you don't have mom and dad nearby. You know, you fall on your family, you fall on your friends that, you know, are around you. So
no doubt.
That's one thing that makes Banff super special, definitely. And it's not easy to make a life here. I feel like
it
kind of weeds out the weak-spirited people that just kind of want an easy ride, you know what I mean? Like
you can have your 6 months or 1 year and do that and then just leave. But if you really want to build a life, you got to work at it here.
Big time.
Oh yeah. We've touched on it a few times. Just like, don't burn your bridges. Just, you know, don't be,
it's important.
Don't be a jackass. Like people think it's, oh, I can do whatever I want. It's all these big companies. They don't give a shit. It's like, well, all those big companies are all pretty much tied together.
They all talk.
Yeah. All the owners talk and everybody knows each other. Like, even in the kitchen, somebody's like, "What? You know this kid?" It's like, oh God,
Remember when he did this?
Yeah, don't fucking hire that kid. You remember when he did this over at wherever? Like, no. It's like, well, that's what he did over there, and then it gets around pretty quick. Like word travels very, very fast.
For sure.
So it's I don't know.
That being said, people do change. Doesn't mean because you're a piece of shit now doesn't mean that you'll be a piece of shit forever. I can attest to that.
Oh God.
But yeah, definitely like small town. It's very special in that sense that
we get to live in a national park.
Yeah.
That's almost nowhere in all of Canada.
Yeah.
And it's not any national park. Second oldest national park. I grind this through people all the time. I'm like, man, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Yeah.
We forget that in the bubble sometimes, for sure.
100%.
And I also really like how compact Banff is. That comes with its own problems, but the fact that you can walk everywhere in town, I really like that.
Big time.
Road rage affects me quite a lot. So the fact that I don't have to really drive benefits my life a lot.
I was discussing this with one of my tables the other day, and they were visiting from Toronto, and they're like, we spend so much time sitting in traffic. Like if you think hours of your day sitting in traffic, I mean, I get it. The amenities of living in a city, the convenience, yada, yada, whatever. I love that I don't have to drive or take a vehicle. I got to walk a couple work.
Summer, it's even better. You get on your bike and you just hammer.
100%.
Yeah,
it's my favorite.
Oh, yeah. You just go downtown. You're down there in like 5 minutes. Get your crap, put it in your backpack, load up and go home. And you're like, see you guys. And like, I'll get downtown faster than people can drive downtown because they're stuck in traffic and Banff. It's like same thing in the summer, man.
Absolutely. It's so much faster.
Oh, yeah. Like me and Chase left one day. He was going to the grocery store and I was going, I don't know, downtown to buy green or beer or something. And I like get down there and I'm like, just get to IGA. And he pulls up behind. I hear him like pull up behind me and turns in. I'm like, I got there just as fast as you did in your car.
Until someone goes to ban e-bikes.
Ooh, did I? I got a story for you.
What is this?
I've got a road rage story for you.
Let's hear it.
So I went to cash my check the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Going to CIBC. I come out and I see this guy yelling, riding his bike around the corner. And he's got like this fat tire bike, runs around the corner and like just drops his bike and turns around. He's like, you want some? And there was like an Asian tourist, this lady driving this little like SUV and her husband's in the passenger seat.
She's scared.
And she must have like hit him or something because he was like mad, dude, mad. This is wild. And the guy gets out of the car like, you want some? You want some? Huh? Let's go. Come on. You want some? And the guy, this Asian dude goes to like straight up spear. Like it was like watching a tackle? Goldberg. Yeah, he just went in like head first to go tackle this guy. And this dude was like about his size and just like, boom, DDT'd this guy forehead first. It was right in the middle of the intersection of Buffalo and Banff Ave. And like people are yelling to like get out of the way. They're just beating the ever living piss out of each other. Like me and two other dudes got in there and went in, like broke it up. And the guys, they were like, it was going down, dude. It was awesome. You got DDT'd right face first in the pavement.
Damn, dude.
Someone take the high road in the end?
They both just because we all broke them up. There's like three because like
go that way, you go. Well,
we saw the wife come out of her car like to come over and try to break it up, and we're like, no, stay the hell away from this. Stay away. Like you're gonna get accidentally like smacked out because you know how it is when dudes are fighting.
Yeah, for sure.
They get hit with a random whatever. Like so, me and these other two dudes jumped in, but it was wild, dude. I haven't seen a good fight in Banff in a while, and that was like midday. It was like that would have been like 2:30 in the afternoon.
Damn,
that was crazy.
Casual afternoon in Banff.
Casual afternoon in Banff, and then these tourists, me and these two tourists standing to go across the road, and they're like, "Whoa, dude!" I'm like, "Yeah, sooner or later, if you live here long enough, you get tired of getting run over by tourists." And they're like, "No doubt." The crosswalk goes. I'm not shitting you. The crosswalk goes. All three of us go to walk out, and this guy in an SUV comes flying around the corner. Almost ran all three of us over, and they're like, well, point in case right there, huh? That didn't take long. I was like, you almost just literally got all three of us got ran over almost.
Damn.
Not 2 seconds after a fight about getting run over.
Keep your wits about you out there if you're traveling.
It was awesome.
You just sparked a little thought in my head. I think we were going to maybe talk about it later, but
let's do it. Yeah.
This summer, I went on a big trip in Europe, and I went to the Vatican.
Uh-huh.
And it was high season, September. It was too hot in the summer to go there, so September's a big time. And you want to talk about like busy and tourists, it's insanity. The only way you can get in if you don't line up at stupid o'clock in the morning is you just pay a tour guide a ton of money and you skip all the lines.
Yeah.
But the traffic intersections right outside the Vatican, they don't even have traffic lights anymore. It's just a permanent police
like
directing traffic
like
for one intersection.
Wow. That's wild.
And I was like, man, you know what? Like on the long weekends, we should maybe just turn the lights off and just have a person doing it.
Yeah, what's his name? Pike. Pike does it.
He does great.
Yeah, he does a great
he was
job.
doing
But
the
I was like,
event
maybe
down
on a
there.
bigger
Pike.
scale, when it's so crazy, we just turn the lights off and do what's best and have someone make the decision. I don't know. It made me think of Banff right away when I saw it, because I was like, these guys know exactly what they're doing, and they're just ordering everyone to, you go here, you go do this, that, whatever, right? So,
well, I mean, they do that on the busier long weekends and stuff, and I think they do forego.
They turn the lights off,
the traffic lights totally. But again, like
I'm
next
unaware.
summer is going to be a whole new beast with Banff Ave being open. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. We just touched a little bit on your travels. When did your love for travel spark? You mentioned you lived in the UK, you lived in Japan.
So, once what I said before about rambling on, I try.
No, you're good, man.
So I actually started in high school special program to become a mechanic, heavy equipment technician.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so I started 15, 16 working actually half the year. And then I rolled into my apprenticeship. By the time I was 18, I'd already worked a few years with these guys. I worked at a semi-truck dealership.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm humbly grateful that I got to work with like old generation, blue collar, hardworking dudes.
Real mechanics.
Proper guys. One guy I worked with was a diesel mechanic for 50 years.
Nice.
Yeah. He was tough as nails. It was unbelievable. Always got respect for Al.
I'm sure he had a colorful mouth.
He washed his hands with Varsol, which is like a really aggressive
We
chemical.
just used to use gasoline at the shop. Like my grandpa and my dad were the same. Like they owned a Texaco station back in like the 60s, and like they had a shop. Like they had a like certified mechanic shop next door. So I was always growing up over there, and like here's some gas. It's either orange cleaner or gas. Gas works surprisingly well to clean your
really
hands.
good, honestly.
You just don't want to smoke anytime before or immediately after that.
Well, you know what I mean? These dudes, their opinions are totally lost nowadays because they're not on the internet.
No,
You know what I mean?
way.
Like, so you're not going to see
None of them
these
have
dudes.
any sort of education. A lot of the guys I've worked with never even went through the trade program. They were just recognized based on their experience.
Right,
Crazy.
exactly,
Yeah.
So this is
Old school.
Yeah.
I'm lucky that I got in early because I got these guys. Anyways, so after I'd worked a couple of years, I wasn't just the young dumb kid who they just ordered me to scrub the floor and whatnot. I paid my dues. They saw that I paid my dues, and so they respected me enough. I got to spend a lot of time working with them, and I started to recognize, I was like, man, these guys are like a wealth of like real life experience. It's something that you can't get in any school.
No doubt.
So I started asking them one by one, like, hey, I'm young and I have all this in front of me. If you've got kids and you're going to work until you're done working for sure, if you could do something different back in your day, if you were me at my age, what would you do different? And almost all of them, they're like, I wish I traveled more.
fair.
So I really took that to heart. And I always had like a little bit of a thing. A lot of my family roots go way back into the UK. And I always, I guess, romanticized a bit about it from Hollywood or whatever. And I was like, I want to live in the UK.
Nice.
So I decided then that I wanted to do it. But then I found out that halfway through your apprenticeship, you can't just take like a sabbatical.
Yeah. No,
If you leave an apprenticeship, now things might have changed since then. I don't know. But if you leave for a long extended period of time, 6 months, 1 year, longer than that, they actually throw it in the trash.
You gotta
Even
restart.
the school that you've done, the hours you've done.
Oh, what?
Gone. Again, it might have changed now, but that's how it was back then. And I was really disheartened, honestly. I was like, wow, this sucks. But I was like, so I got to finish my apprenticeship. So, but that's where the idea came from. Fast forward a few years, a lot more things changed. I was working at a different job, blah, blah, blah. And I'd always hung on to this. And then a bunch of shit happened in my life. And I was like, man, I just keep making an excuse every year.
Yeah.
I had a really good job. I had really, really good job running an auto mechanic shop. I was the general manager at this point of an OK Tire. Making great money, great house. Had an awesome girlfriend, like a really rad car that I built myself. I'm like, I have like a lot of the things that you're supposed to want, right? But I still hung on to this burning feeling. And so all this junk happened. And I was like, you know what, screw this. And I called a travel agent and I was like, I want a one-way ticket and I want to make sure it's non-refundable.
Yeah, nice.
And then I
didn't even give
proceeded,
yourself an out.
It's like it costs extra.
No.
I don't care.
yeah,
I
and
want
then
it.
proceeded to like get the visa and everything. I paid a company to help me because I was like, I don't know. And they're like, well, you pay us a bit of money and we'll help you get set up. And they had like a resource center in England. So that really helped me a lot too.
Sick.
So that was the beginning of it, and I was green as could be. I didn't know anything. Like, I'd gone to Mexico to an all-inclusive once.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
like,
Had like any of your family ever been travelers?
my sister like backpacked in Europe when she was like 18. She's 6 years older than me, and like sent me a postcard and stuff. But that was like pre-social media days and stuff like that. So like she told me a few stories.
Well, again, access to travel back then too isn't really what it was today. Like, it's becoming a little bit more inaccessible nowadays. But
Yeah, like when I first set off, like smartphones weren't quite even really there. The Razor, the flip phone,
for sure,
had just come.
I mean,
out.
like our parents,
I had the
let's
chocolate,
say.
had the slide, the LB chocolate. Yeah, they were sick.
So yeah, it was a really different time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't have Google Maps in your pocket all the time.
Traveling was like a very out there hobby back then.
Well, because you're kind of like
you know
out
what
of
I mean?
communication.
More adventurous.
More
Yeah,
adventurous.
you were a little more out of communication with everyone.
True.
Like,
Yeah, the amount I
Yeah.
corresponded with people at home was minimal compared to what it would be today when you're abroad. So
no doubt.
it really was just setting off, and I didn't know anything, and I had to just figure it all out. So I remember vividly to this day the first moment that I came out of the subway station in London, and I was like, whoa. Sensory overload. This is incredible. This is actually real. It feels like
No doubt.
a fairy tale or something. And some people say you're always trying to chase that first high of like when you really go traveling.
For sure.
But I went there, and everything was new and exciting. I moved into a house with someone for 3 girls who were Poland, Slovakia, and Italy, and then I worked with a girl from Spain, and again Slovakia and Poland, some English, 2 Italians who barely could speak English, and I had to walk across London Bridge every single day.
Sick.
Oh,
so you really got the experience. Like, that's a
big time.
Right into the deep end.
I worked at a terrible bar. The owner was a horrible man, treated everyone really bad. He was a really, really horrible man, the way he treated everyone. And he would specifically hire people who come to England to learn English.
To take advantage of them.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucked.
I found myself in a similar situation in Australia, honestly. Like,
it made me sad. But I made a lot of great lifelong friends from that place who I'm still friends with. Eventually I had enough of him and I quit, and I was like, I'd gone on a few small trips in Europe, and I was really starting to love this backpacker life and traveling. And so I was like, I want to work in a hostel.
Cool.
So I like made it my mission. I applied at like 35 different hostels in London.
Wild.
Until I got a job at the biggest, busiest hostel in the entire UK.
Awesome.
And from there, just ran wild. There was one point where I worked with 12 different nationalities. And like I was traveling all the time. I went on this huge train trip across Europe, and I was like, this is it. This is my thing.
Yeah.
I couldn't get enough of it. So that's where it spawned, and then it snowballed over almost 7 years.
Wild.
On and off. I came back to Canada
yeah.
a couple times to make money and then get another visa, and worked as a tour guide. And
Well, I feel like a lot of people in Banff kind of do that too, right? Like a lot of people in Banff, it's like a little home base that has a bunch of tourism. You can come here, you can stack money, and then you can go travel. Like, I'd be kind of lying, said I didn't do the same for a while. Like, you'd go to South America during the slow season when we had one, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think like being around like-minded people, I can see why you're always called back to Banff. Like, we all kind of have that.
Yeah.
Some of the reason I stay too is I say Banff's full of people from all over the world, so it's like traveling without traveling.
Leaving. Yeah.
Good point.
For sure.
You got so much of the world here already.
I think we forget that sometimes, that, you know, your homies are Australian, bro, or like they're from Germany or the UK. Like you just get so used to it here, I think, that after a while you just forget, like, you know, they are, it's just not, like, you just don't think about it the same.
Well, I've heard this saying before about Banff is you go around the world, never leave town.
Yeah,
that's
no
kind
doubt.
of like
Yeah.
the exact point you're saying.
It appeals to me big time.
What would you say was like your biggest culture shock moment throughout all your travels? Like, is there one point where you're like, whoa, this is totally opposite of what?
It's tough.
You know?
So I don't know. I stopped keeping track a few years. It's out of 50, 60 countries or something I've been to now.
What?
Something like this.
Wow, that's insane.
So it's really hard to compare because the world's like really different in a lot of places. That first moment in London still is a very powerful memory for me. Some of the most powerful travel experiences I've had, and I think probably some of the most valuable travel experiences I have, are actually going to places of hardship.
Okay.
Because it helps you appreciate firsthand the world, history, which I really love.
Such as what? Like
and
you
your
mean
own
like
life.
like places related to war or
Yeah.
like that type of hardship or
yeah,
like,
really, really sad stuff. Like I went to
like for example,
internment camps.
yeah, the killing
killing
fields in
fields.
Cambodia,
Yeah, it was really, really
one of the really
powerful.
notorious ones.
On this my last trip this summer, which I came home, I just went for a wedding to spend some time with friends, catch up with friends who I haven't seen in way too long, which was really great for me. I wasn't going, I need this trip for X, Y, or Z. Those were the things I went. I came home so humble and full of gratitude.
Yeah.
And part of that was reconnecting with people who I haven't seen in so long and reminding me of these wonderful people that are part of my life. But I went to this little French town because I really wanted to see Vimy Ridge.
Mm.
Oh, cool.
And I went there, and it's such a beautiful little town. It's called Arras in the north of France. Small town. It's all Flemish architecture. But I really dove into the war history.
Yeah.
Because it was on the front line of World War I for the entire war, this small city.
Yeah.
And Vimy Ridge was just really powerful and humbling. And then I went to these tunnels that the Kiwis built where they hid like 30,000 soldiers underneath for this surprise attack.
Crazy.
Then I went to the cathedral and looked at all the old photos they had of how like 80% of the town was destroyed, bombed to hell.
Crazy.
And I was like, man, all my problems are so insignificant. My life is so good, honestly. So like I said, some of the best places are the worst places, strangely.
Okay. Interesting. Like, what's the feeling you get when you're there? Like, it's like you said, humbling is definitely probably the feeling. Or just like, is there like a different energy there you feel, or?
I struggle to put it to words, and my therapist helped me figure this out. She's like, you just sound really full of gratitude.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grateful for all that I have. Like, no matter, we all have problems, and they're real problems, not just first world problems. They're still problems.
Yeah.
But when you see what other people have been through, it can really make your problems insignificant, and it can really make you, let's put that away and focus on all the great things I have in my life.
Yeah.
One of my very good friends who lives in the UK, he's had one of the hardest lives of anybody I've ever met anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And he always puts it into really great words. He says, look, man, you've got a roof over your head.
Yeah.
You've always got food. And he's like, sometimes you even get to drink beer. He's like,
yeah, no doubt.
There's so many people in the world who can't say those three things.
It's true.
Right.
And it's one that I always come back to when I'm having like a hard day. Doesn't always work, but it's nice anyways.
Well, that's a super good outlook, man. Thank you for sharing that with us. Honestly, sure. I never thought of it like that, that the places where worst things happen would be the best places to travel. It's a very cool perspective.
I think one of the big things that drove a lot of my travel is I have a big infatuation with Cold War history, just because of how it affects how the world is today.
Right. Yeah.
And I always wanted to see Chernobyl.
Oh yeah,
because
I always like that.
Can't you go there now? I'm pretty.
You always could.
Yeah, you always can.
Well, for the last 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
You have to go with a specific company. It's
they
controlled by the government and all this stuff. Because to me, it's a really defining point in history. It was a large factor in the collapse of the Soviet Union, which changed history and blah, blah, blah. So I always wanted to see it. And I love abandoned things, and it's the largest abandoned city pretty much anywhere, right? 50,000 people left overnight.
Oh, yeah. It's wild.
I saw an article, or I think it was like a Vice documentary short or something, about the wolves there and how the wolves kind of repopulated the area, but they have like traces of radiation because they've been so close for so long. And like
biology research there is incredible.
Yeah.
I don't know almost anything about it, but like everything there is outside of what the rest of the world is.
And it has
the long-term radiation.
Yeah. So pretty wild stuff. If you haven't seen it, look into it. I definitely could do a deep dive on that.
What's something you really miss when you're abroad? Like something that you can, like something you can only get here. Like what's your biggest craving when you get home, as far as like just anything, like an experience
that first time I traveled to the UK, I was away from home for almost 2 full years.
Okay.
And I remember landing in the Toronto airport, where I had to change flights, and I was like, I want a poutine.
Nice.
I got like
poutine?
a crappy A&W one in the airport.
Gross. Yeah.
Better than nothing.
I was pretty happy.
Yeah. Some people it's a Caesar, like Caesar's a big one, or Timmy's Coffee if you're like a dub type.
For me, there's not that much. Like, definitely homesick is a real thing that afflicts people really differently, and it never has hit me too hard with any one thing. Like, I love a good cold Caesar. I really do enjoy Canadian winters, believe it or not.
Nice.
Maybe not as long as we have them.
Yeah, maybe not as long as it is
like,
here.
I'd take a nice 4 or 5 month winter.
And they're getting shorter and shorter.
Yeah, so maybe they're on the better stretch. And after that first time coming home, growing up in Calgary, I know this clear as day. I never appreciated the mountains properly. But when I came home after 2 years and the first time come here, I was like, I'm never taking this for granted ever again.
It is wild. Even when I go home to Ontario for like a couple weeks, I come back and I'm like, damn. Right. That's why I live here.
For sure.
Yeah.
It takes a very short time away. Myself personally, when I'm abroad, being an Ontario boy, what I miss when I come back is a nice cold bag of milk.
Oh, yeah.
Where do you get bagged milk anymore? Come on, no one does bagged milk.
Oh, yeah, man. Bagged milk used to just like me and my brother would come home, crush a bag each, and my dad would lose it. He's like, you drank all the milk. I'm like, there's a bag left.
Straight out the bag, baby.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. That was just a joke.
So a lot of people say that that's like a whatever province thing.
Ontario, yeah.
Ontario thing.
We had bagged milk in Alberta when I was a kid.
Yeah.
For the record.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe Ontario's just behind everyone else. You're like, we still got it.
No. Oh, still got it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Ontario still has bagged milk. I can't see him not.
What would you say is your most memorable dining experience abroad? You've worked in hospitality. We mentioned bartending. I'm sure you've seen some pretty intense meals.
So I was thinking about this. I was having a chat about this with some people the other day. We were just talking about food and how great it is.
What types of food are you into normally? Are you into like a fine dining experience? Are you into like a street food type of experience when you're traveling? Like, where's your personal like?
A solid number 2, very close to number 1 reason for why I travel is food.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
awesome.
I love fine dining. I love street food. I love food, all types in any form. To put it into one, I always struggle with absolutes for sure.
Yeah, fair.
And favorites.
Fair. We could do favorites. We don't have to do one. Because you could like it'd be hard to pick one.
I can't pick one.
You can't pick one.
Tacos.
Well, I don't know. I'll just
up there.
a couple different ones that came up. I went on a food tour in Peru.
Cool.
Wow. So they take you to all these places, and like Lima specifically is like considered some of the best food in all of South America.
Oh, crazy!
Don't they eat guinea pigs there?
They do.
Did you try it?
We didn't on this tour. Because that's like a bit of a novelty as well.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
They eat guinea pigs?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Roast them up,
the
dog.
full roasted guinea pig on the plate.
Yeah.
Wild. I'm good.
But we got to make our own ceviche there.
Okay, cool. Ceviche is beautiful.
Amazing.
For those that don't know, ceviche, right? A raw preparation of seafood cooked with lime. So lime juice is used to marinate the seafood and the vegetables. Usually jalapenos, onions, tomatoes. What else would you have? Ceviche, finely chopped and then lime juice in there.
The fit.
Absolutely. So
it's unreal.
Ceviche's up there. Okay.
It's very good.
Awesome.
I will say this without a doubt. Japan has the best food in the world.
Interesting.
That's why I want to go.
Not even a maybe. You can find Anthony Bourdain going on and on and on about how if you ask any fine chef in the world if they could only eat from one country, they'll say it's Japan, and I agree.
Okay.
I want to go there so bad and just eat, like literally.
Why do you think that makes it so? Just the attention to detail, the flavors,
their standards.
Okay, their standards.
Their standards are just their basic standard is just so much higher than everyone else.
Okay,
good point.
Yeah.
Good to know.
And that's the basic. They obviously have
high end as well.
Tier. One mini little experience I had. I lived next to a grocery store when I was in Japan, and they have like all your produce, the fruit, and then they have a small little section called premium fruit. It's a lot more expensive.
Oh, wow.
Is that like the cubed watermelon and shit?
No. It's the quality.
Okay.
It's not. It also has to look nice, but it also has to be natural.
So it'd almost be like just like the top quality.
Better strawberries, better peaches, whatever. And they always like rock melon, which is like a cantaloupe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is considered like special there. You often give it as a gift.
Yes, they gift it.
They don't even have a basic. They only have premium rock melon.
Okay.
It comes on a velvet pillow. And when I was there, it was $40 for one.
Whoa.
So I always wanted to know. I was like, man, I can't justify $40. Like I was broke ski bum as well, but one day for some reason they cut one in half and like we're selling it with all the like packaged fruit,
Cool.
like bento-y sort of.
Yeah, yeah.
And anything that they cut, they had to sell same day. Japan doesn't waste food.
Maybe they dropped it or broke it or something. Like, you know what I mean? Anyways.
And so at the end of the day, they discount anything that has to be sold that day until it's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And so it was $20 because it was half.
Mm.
But then at the end of the day, it was half off. So it was $10 for half a cantaloupe. And I was like, you know, that's still really expensive, but I got to know. And there is no second or third place. It was
Worth
the
it?
best melon I've ever ate in my entire life. Yeah.
Well, that's crazy. Honestly, like produce is one thing I find kind of shocking, especially with our situation here in Banff.
Oh, man.
Because our produce, I think, is not the best, but you drive a short distance into the next province over, you can go to a market on the side of the road and get incredibly fresh and delicious produce, organically grown.
Yeah.
It just makes no sense to me that we're
is.
consuming, you know, vegetables from Mexico and parts of the U.S. when we have, especially in season. I get it during the winter. I get it, you know, how supply chains work. But like when it's in season right next door, why not get it from right next door? So it is what it's cracked up to be. I see a bunch of videos from Japan of people shopping, like eating meals at the gas station and stuff, like 7-Eleven.
Even looks
So good.
And
so
even
much
that, like,
better,
it
That's
looks high quality.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
like,
saying?
what's one piece of advice, if you had to give one piece of advice for someone looking to get into traveling or trying to get out and see the world? Like something that you wish you knew at the very beginning.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what that mechanic told you. What would be your
so
piece
if
of advice?
you've already made the decision that you want to like hit the world or whatever, travel in a small or a large way, move to a country or just go on a big trip, push your comfort zone. Whatever you want to do, and someone's like, we should try that. And you're like, ooh, I don't know, or this, you should probably do that thing that you're hesitating on.
No
Go
doubt.
outside because you'll probably learn more about yourself, learn more about the world, and maybe like expand your horizons. We all get really comfortable, and it's good to push your boundaries, especially as you get older. It's harder to. You almost have to remind yourself more. I'd say.
You're like, dude, I don't have to not do that because of your age. Like you can. I don't know. I've been kind of going through that last like year or two. I just like found some new stuff that I'm really into, and I was like, I don't know, man. If I didn't do this, I wouldn't have got into that, and now I'm really into both of them. It's like, you know what I mean? Like,
I think one thing that stops people is like fear that the world is dangerous.
For
you
sure.
know?
right?
A lot of people, don't go to that country. It's dangerous. Like I get it. We're men, and the experience is a little bit different for women in certain countries. But like personally, I've been down in El Salvador, and we're walking down the side of the road, and it's getting dark. Right? Probably a place we shouldn't have been, and a whole truck full of armed men pulls over on the side of the road, but they're cops. And you know, you have that little instinct, that moment where your heart kind of drops and like, oh my God, are we in trouble or something? Nah, they were super cool. They're like, you guys shouldn't be here. Get in the back of the truck. We'll drive you to your hostel. So like,
Why?
I don't know. That's
awesome.
like, that's one moment for me where I thought like something really bad's going to go down. But really the most wholesome thing ever happened. Like those army dudes, like super heavily militarized men with M16s just waited on the highway while they drove us back to our hostels. Cause like you're there traveling, you're bringing money to their communities that wouldn't have been there. Like, I don't know. I think the world is pretty accepting of travelers, especially nowadays.
People are
more than ever.
inherently good.
Yeah.
People like to forget that because the news bombards us with
Right.
like negativity, right?
100%. Like I would agree with your statement that if you have apprehension of doing it, just do it. Like it's not as scary or as dangerous as you'd think, you know?
And be honest with yourself. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Don't say it and then not follow through. Like have real expectations. And if you're going to do something, commit to it. It's really easy to lie to yourself,
100%.
especially when it comes to like adventurous things.
It like becomes addictive to lie to yourself about, or, you know, oh, we should do this. We should do that. And then never putting those plans in motion. Like,
You're propping yourself higher up than you actually are. Yeah.
setting yourself up for disappointment. One common theme in travel and tourism nowadays is overcrowding. It's been brought up in the media. It's been brought up in the town of Banff, and not just Banff, but you know, travel
Everywhere.
destinations all over the world seem to be experiencing this trend of overcrowding. What's your experience with that? Do you feel that's true? Do you
So
feel
it's-
that's
I'm glad you bring this up because I also work for Immigration Canada, and they had me doing a bit of a media scan especially through the pandemic, because the world was changing so aggressively. They wanted an update of like how things are changing and developing. So I actually was like really on top of this topic in particular
Awesome.
for the last few years. Now,
Cool.
I haven't done it for the last full year, but it gave me a lot of perspective into this because it's a huge problem in all kinds of countries. And the world faced this massive downturn in tourism, which crushed the industry across the world.
Big
Oh,
time.
yeah.
And so that means the industry lost, especially a lot of people who probably retired early, who
And
had
not
some of
just
the most
tourism, like-
skills
Yeah.
related to this. And then we had this skyrocketing spike post this. So no one knew how to develop it. Plus, it's in many markets, it's actually gone higher than pre-COVID times.
For sure.
So there's this term called revenge travel, which analysts agree that we're going to face for 3 to 5 years post-COVID. So we're still in that window for sure.
I've never heard this term, revenge travel.
Revenge travel
I could do it,
represents,
so now I'm going to do it.
represents making up for lost time regardless of your financial situation.
Okay.
All right.
So if you're broke,
Mhm.
but you're like, wow, these last few years really sucked. I'm stuck in my job or whatever. I don't have any money. I'm putting it on my credit card and going anyways.
Okay.
So this adds on to the already huge demand for travel around the world. So like I was in Europe for almost 2 months this summer, and you want to talk some overcrowding, over tourism. I saw it firsthand. I know the national parks in the US face it just as much, if not more.
For
than
sure.
we
Right.
do.
100%.
So, and obviously Banff, I think we're definitely experiencing some over tourism.
I would say so. I would say so for sure.
So what's the answer? Circumstantial. It depends on the place.
For sure. I would agree with that. It depends a lot on the infrastructure. If you look at a place like Waterton that can restrict vehicle traffic, like there's no way Banff could ever restrict vehicle traffic.
I don't think
because
we're
on the
actually
highway.
allowed to.
Because we're on the main artery of the whole country. Like you cannot restrict access on Highway 1.
Someone told me that. Well, no, not
Right?
one. But what about at the ends of town? I've heard different things.
Like
'cause
Lake
I've always
Louise
said that
does
you
it.
could do this.
I thought it
Yeah.
was in the charter that we have access to, everyone is supposed to have access to the national parks. I think is
So,
something like that.
but what about Lake
I
Louise?
think there's something like that where it's in the charter where every Canadian has the right to experience Canada's national park or something like that. There's some clause in there. So I'm sure it's something to do with that where like you can't block someone from coming into a national park.
Because
That's
this
their
was
right
brought up
to
during
see.
COVID when they're
Right.
asking people to stay home and to
Right.
do all this and that. There was talks of, oh, why don't they just close the park gates and not allow tourists to come in? It's like, well,
Right.
they really cannot restrict people's movement like that, especially in a place that's meant to be for all Canadians.
Right.
One of the things that I've advocated for in the last few years is not the park gates necessarily because of the highway, but the two ends into town.
Yeah.
Call it the 3 or whatever.
Right.
And we have like a daily capacity limit in
Yeah.
the summertime.
Right.
That's exactly what Waterton does, Yellowstone does.
Right.
Right.
And when you're at capacity, you're at capacity, right?
I think it's reasonable. Like obviously you'd have to build a system. Anyone who's staying in a hotel, they get access.
Yeah.
They've paid to stay here. Come
For
on
sure.
in. If you're a resident and we'd have to figure out how to build this, then you prove obviously you're coming in, right? If you're in some sort of commercial operations, come on in, right? But
Yeah.
if the day trippers is really what's made it a lot worse.
For
And
sure.
this will continue to grow as Alberta, we went on this, keeps growing in population,
Right.
especially Calgary and Edmonton.
Right. It's
keep
so
getting
close
so many
to us, right?
newer Canadians, not necessarily direct. They've been here 1 year, but like they've been here 5 years or 10 years and
Right.
just moved to Alberta from somewhere else.
Yes.
This is the first time they get a chance to experience the mountains. They're like, this place is amazing. We should go every single weekend for the day.
Who would
and
not?
we're going to picnic at Cascade Ponds,
For sure.
which they should be able to. They pay their park entry, but that doesn't really help for the economic side if they're like not even spending money or they just go to the park or anything. These people should be allowed in town. Absolutely. But maybe the conversation about having a limit, if it's allowed within the charter,
Yeah.
this, again, I'm not
Right.
sure.
All like very interesting points for sure. One that we will touch on in a little bit is non-vehicle traffic,
No doubt.
which,
Yeah.
hey, if I think that's one of the big points that we will talk about later is will Albertans leave their cars at home to come visit the national park system? Answer that is yet to be, or question that is yet to be answered. But I think you're right, and the day trippers is the cause, or is one of the major causes of the congestion that we feel. And it's unfortunately a lot of people that often can't even get out of their vehicles to experience it because they just want to drive around, see the Fairmont, and come back. While we keep seeing all these pedestrian bridges pop up, how about a secondary vehicle bridge for all the attractions that are across that choke point, right? Like that is the main choke point.
Even short term, we have 2 pedestrian bridges. You can even make them directional if you want, or whatever, or not. Get rid of one or both sides of the sidewalk on the vehicle bridge and add another lane.
So you've been down this road. Been down this road, and structurally the bridge is not sound enough in its construction. If you look at the bridge and the way that it's built, there's almost these L-shaped beams that support the sidewalks that would not support a vehicle.
Have the conversation about
redoing
upgrading the bridge.
Yeah. So that's what I mean, right? Now we have paid parking. We have all these things. We're highest grossing national park. This and that. Like they're very quick to point out all of our financial peaks, yet we can't get infrastructure to support the amount of people that they want to bring in. And as well, I think we mentioned this on another previous episode, was about the town of Banff spending money to facilitate traffic getting across the bridge, utilizing taxpayer money to help people essentially get to the tourist attractions, right? The gondola, the Fairmont. So that was a big thing that we broached with the pedestrian zone when we were discussing that, which was super hotbed issue.
Oh yeah, that ain't going away, I'm sure.
No, well, what is it? 3 years, 4 years?
As being a hotbed issue, I don't think that'll go away.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
It does get tug and pull, the over tourism, because we need this
for sure.
There's always the argument of
100%.
We need the money, and this is what keeps the town going. It's
yes.
Is there a limit? Like, do we need unlimited money? I don't know. Like,
where's
the balance come in? Right? How much of quality of life for the people who help facilitate all of this economy comes in, right?
Who gets to decide the balance? Is it Parks Canada?
It's not a simple question.
It's not.
And something else that I think a lot of people might not realize, because I've gone down this road with other people, is people say, well, the parks make so much money off all the tax revenue and all the people buying parks passes, and like, where's all this money go? Something that a lot of people don't realize is most national parks in Canada generate next to zero money.
Right.
They still require a lot of money to operate.
Mm-hmm.
And at least for myself, I think all of our national parks are really important.
That's a very good point.
So Banff, in some aspects, and Jasper pays for a lot of the national park program across the Canada.
Right.
Could the federal government give a few more bucks? Yes. We had a government about 10, 15 years ago that cut their budget really hard, and
big time.
We didn't need that. They definitely need more money. I've been to a lot of national parks, and the staff are like, everything's old and falling apart. We never get any money. They're really special places. We could maybe have a bit of a PR campaign, get people going to the national parks more, not just ours.
Mm-hmm.
They're really great places.
No doubt.
All great. No, it's honestly all great points. And again, that's I didn't even think about that at the point that we subsidize a lot of Canada's national parks. So hey, why there's no money? That's a great answer. Honestly, I didn't.
Scientific research in the northern parks costs a fortune.
Yeah, 100%.
And some of those parks are larger than small countries.
Great point.
Yeah,
great point. So yeah, hey, we need more funding. Everyone needs more funding.
Money. Always.
I know it's always bad on money.
Let's move on to some posts of the week. We have some interesting stuff. We have 3 weeks of posts backed up. Some cool Christmas stuff. Some not cool Christmas stuff.
We got some gems in there. Let's hit it.
Let's hit it up.
Sounds good.
This one was wild. I don't know if you saw this one, Matt. If you can read it without the expletives.
It says F and A holes. A. First time in 16 years, my display vandalized. Thousands of dollars in damages. It looks like... So, what happened was some punk-ass kids went in there and...
sliced up all these Christmas, inflatables and destroyed the whole setup. Okay, these people have been putting up... I don't know if it's a community center or a church or something. Anyways, it's a very prominent place in Canmore. I don't want to blow up the spot too much.
Right.
That had this very beautiful Christmas setup. Now... some punk ass kids
Right.
went in and smashed it all up. Now I think the next slide is the follow-up.
Yeah, we're not gonna read it all,
Yeah.
obviously. Basically, to paraphrase, it just says
The whole community came together to not only help fix but donate so they can get their Christmas display back up. One of the perpetrators gave themselves up.
Turned himself in.
Wow.
Yeah.
So props to that person.
Amazing.
You know what I mean? Like,
No doubt.
Didn't give up the others though.
yeah, he did.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
He did a little bit of snitching.
Did they get in trouble?
I would assume so.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah.
But man,
You know what? You coming forward should be like, hey, I realized my mistake.
yeah.
no doubt.
Hopefully they were just young kids.
Well, that's what it is. That's
sounded
the
like
post
some
goes
young
on
kids,
to read
yeah.
that it was some teenage boys being a little rambunctious, up to no good. So I like to take my hat off to the kid that gave himself up, because that's not Christmas cheer.
Absolutely.
That's terrible.
coming forward and be like, you know what? We did the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Really sorry. Didn't mean to make people so angry. We just got a bit carried away. I egged some houses at Halloween a long time ago.
doubt.
Big time. I think we all
yeah.
have done some stuff that we wish
Sure.
we could take back. So hats off to the, I don't know,
Yeah.
the cool one out of the kids, right? But it was wild. The comments were freaking insane.
So, Dan, what was this next one from? This
Okay, yo, this one here
What
is
was this a
hilarious.
comment
so
on?
this was a comment on the Rotary Park. So people were commenting.
I did
The
see this
Rotary
one.
Park had just opened, and everyone's going, man, I really wish it was more for kids. Like my 0 to
that.
2-year-old can't
Yeah.
really play on it. It's more for 3 to 5-year-olds. Da, da, da. And all these people are going back and forth. It's a park, man. It's for everyone. Like any little kid would love the park. And then this dude, I would love to name him, goes on to say, be careful what you say. The vitriolic trolls are waiting to comment. Keep in mind that the what?
The largest Rotary convention in North America is coming to Calgary and here in June 2025. And as such a project, it looks great.
So then the admin comes on. This is our boy here.
Oh, yeah. He says, hey, whoever you are, I help admin this page. You actually have had more reported comments for trolling than anyone else in this group by a landslide. Hope this helps. Then the kid messages back, thanks.
It's so good.
Like,
First
just
of all,
wrote him right off.
it's not a kid. It's like a grown ass man.
Oh, I know.
It's the same grown ass man that wanted to start a petition in Canmore to ban motorized leaf blowers because people were using them to do snow
NIMBY.
removal. People were using them to do snow removal. He's like, man, these gotta be banned. It's a noise violation. Like, and then those comments were wild.
Guy just needs a cabin in the woods without internet, maybe.
Yeah,
No
dude.
doubt.
Like,
No doubt.
hilarious stuff.
Oh
Always.
my God, that's wild.
I think the Rotary Park looks great.
It's
for him.
dope, man.
Yeah,
Big
for
shout out
the
to
record.
Dean Cooper.
Yeah,
I used to work. He really did an amazing job.
I used to work with him at the Elk too, a long time ago, when he was in the service industry before his now like career job. But yeah, the dude's awesome. Always doing stuff for the
Passionate.
community.
He's got a kid that he wanted to make a great place for. So.
You know that like he doesn't
Yeah.
get paid to do all that
Yeah.
work to bring new parks for the kids. So instead of trashing it online, go enjoy it.
Yeah.
Or not. If you don't like it, go enjoy another park. Straight up. Good work.
I know one of the guys helped build the whole place. He's one of the busiest guys I know in town. He's got a million things going on, but he's like, this is really important because he's got kids.
There you go.
He made the time for it.
no doubt.
Big shout out. Next one, hilarious.
Oh yeah, so this one says we've all seen poop left behind, but this was too good not to share. I followed the mapped out steps and safely rectified the situation. So this is like a pile of dog poo on the ground right beside a post that has dog poo bags on
Free.
it. That is
Free
equal
on it.
distance. Like we're talking like within 2 feet of this pile of crap is crap bags and a garbage.
There's
They
literally
didn't even have to move to pick it up and throw it out. You could have done both of them with standing in the same location.
everything you need is right there.
Oh, my-
Anyways,
they set them up for success, and then that was pretty much it.
hilarious stuff.
The next one is pretty funny.
The next one is wild, okay? Oh, no, not that one.
That's not the one.
No, that's okay. That's still, we'll do this one. This was the park job.
Oh yeah, this is the next one. Yeah.
This is the park job that we found. Was this New Year's Day?
I think. So.
I think it was New Year's Day. Someone might have been,
Couple of babies.
yeah.
I think this looks like I had a couple of years and then drove home.
Is this not a reasonable place to park?
I mean,
Maybe that's just how good they are at parallel parking.
Fair?
Maybe.
just
Fair?
like, I'm not good, man. Sorry, I did my best. I did what I could and called it even. Like,
We haven't had any bad parking in a while. It's kind of hard when everything's covered in snow to be like, this guy sucks at parking, but
good point. Speaking of people sucking,
Oh, yes.
this
one
one's
sucks.
good. So this one says, "Am I the only one who sees that criminality is rising at the same speed as the immigration problem? It's like a math problem. More immigration, more crime. It's now fact. Sadly, I'm open to argumentation and or discussion on the case. Wonder what's the people's opinion on this.
Yeah, so this dude opens up with like a racist rant basically, and he's like, "What do you think?
Yeah,
what do you think?"
The comment here just pretty much sums this one.
Yeah.
So this was a homie of ours. This is a perfect example of a sad, lonely person who needs gratification from a Facebook page to draw attention to themselves. Forget this person and carry on with your lives. Just an attention-seeking drama keyboard warrior. Also, F this prick.
So I was borderline not wanting to include this just because of the original poster's content material, but the reply was just too good to not include it.
Yeah,
if this is what you spend your time doing.
Hey, get a hobby, man.
Get a life, bro.
Like, just try. Have you tried knitting? Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Armchair generals.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. It's a cool little shot here.
Yeah.
Someone posted the old ice cast at Lake Louise in 2 stages here. You can see on the left, it's completely there still, and then on the right, just like completely collapsed and melted.
So this is another one that had the keyboard warriors up in a fit. So the whole ice sculpture thing at Lake Louise this year.
They closed it?
No,
I never got the details.
It was for hotel guests only.
Okay, so they didn't close it.
Yeah.
In years past, they would have the sculptures on the ice, along with the castle. It was open to everyone due to overcrowding, over tourism. Right. They decided to do them off the lake on the hotel property. They decided the sculptures, yes. They've decided to fence them in, and then you have to charge either you have to book a tour to go and see them, or be staying at one of the participating hotels, which is most of the hotels of Banff and Lake Louise. So you'd have to like prove that you're staying in a hotel to go and see the ice sculptures.
Didn't have to be a Fairmont hotel.
It did not have to be a Fairmont hotel. People on the internet were up in arms. They're like, this is free. We deserve to go see this for free. And I'm reading these comments. And I'm thinking like, okay, I get it. They've done a nice thing to offer this for free for so many years that now people become entitled to it. I don't think people realize that it costs thousands and thousands of dollars, not only to bring the ice, but to pay for the artist to put these things on. You have to have 24-hour security to make sure no one comes in at night and destroys them. One of our previous guests did done security for these ice sculptures. So like the entitlement from the general public to be like, oh man, we used to go here every year. Like I get the disappointment, but if you really want to go, just book a tour. Like support the art.
Okay.
Right? Like
good point.
Entitlement, like you say, it's been one of my kicks that I read a book recently, and it went on and on about like how so many people and how it's good to try and avoid entitlement in your life.
Yeah.
Because it just
no one owes you anything,
right? Like why do you deserve to have it for free, right? I enjoyed that a lot as a kid, but the world's a different place. There's a lot more people here now, and everyone wants a selfie with every single thing. So the fact that they're spending all the money, like you said, and letting guests from non-Fairmont hotels who don't benefit them at all still experience it, I think is a good fair balance.
Just because you can't drive from the city and spend no money and go see it with your family and then take off and leave, you're gonna complain about $37 parking and like, you know, it's all kind of part of the same thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But anyways, it sank into the lake. The main castle was still on the lake. Yeah. It ended up sinking into the lake. And then again, like the comments were like people celebrating the fact that this went poorly for them. Just in poor taste, in my opinion. In poor taste.
It's not like, because I know, especially some locals were pretty upset that I get to enjoy this. It's not like we get to go ice skating on mint lake ice in the mountains for free that most other people don't know when that ice is there or good.
Exactly. So I mean,
it's really special that we get to do that because it's always a short window. And people around here get to know what happens.
For me, it was more about people not realizing that what they're going to see is art and not being willing to support the art that they're going to see. Like that was like, it's blowing my mind that the fact that people don't realize that
free.
Yeah, like there's cost associated with producing art. Like you're going to have an emotional experience because of something that someone else created, yet you will not support the person that created it. You feel it's owed to you because it's Christmas.
Well,
that's my take.
The artist that did this post, I don't know who did it.
Oh boy!
This one I just found on a random website. It's Planet of the Apes. If you were skiing during the holidays, you might have seen some of these up there.
This lady's got her goggles on upside down. Even she's got the eyes. She's like, what? They get that's where your eyebrows go.
It's referring to the Gory Gap, as it is also called. There's a gap between your goggles and your helmet.
This is like an 8-inch gate, though. That's like. That's insane.
That is a Brazer's quality right there.
Like you could still belt your forehead off of the snow full tilt with
100%. Yeah, this is what our resorts look like during the holidays. So I went up. I did venture into the ski resorts during the holiday break. And let me tell you, it's crazy.
There's somebody dropping off the roof up here too. I didn't even see that. Some guy, some like random dude about to drop in off the fucking roof right onto the ski rack.
So like the parking lots are packed.
Oh, it's
jammed.
Trappers, the lodge, packed.
Can't even get in.
Chairlifts. Empty.
Everybody just hanging out at
like
the restaurant.
every single steep, like I get it. People are coming from abroad. They probably aren't used to skiing this type of terrain long runs. So every like steep pitch, there's always a group of people waiting right there.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
feel free to run right over.
it's fine. You're not going to wait in lift lines. Like I thought I was going to be waiting in lift lines all day. Not a problem. Safe to go.
Well, we got some bangers to finish her out here.
Oh, yeah.
So this one, definitely a banger. This was somebody downtown just hammering off the Roman candles. It's got to be new, I'm sure.
Got a big shout out to Alex Carpenter. Sent us this raw video. People shooting themselves with Roman candles happens to be right in front of the gas station.
Yeah,
That was the first thing
I
that I
know,
saw.
yeah, right in
So,
front of
hilarious prank shooting boys with Roman candles. We've all done it.
Maybe not a good idea in front of the gas station.
Or on like the sidewalk where there's so many other people.
It's probably late night. Definitely late night.
Dude, that's like right beside the pumps, man. That's insane.
Yeah, dude. So
Look at that cab. Did you see the
cab
cab?
rolls up?
The cab was like pushing him out of the way there. I never noticed that before.
yeah, the cab definitely rolls up and gives him shit.
Hold on,
So
let me find that again. Yeah, like it's got to be over here somewhere. This cab rolls up, and I guess it looks like
That
he's
guy,
trying to
yeah,
like
right
push him out of the
there.
way. Yeah, look at this guy. Yeah, look, he's like chasing him right out of there. That's funny. I never noticed that.
So again, yeah, a little rambunctiousness coming from Banff Ave over the holidays here.
No doubt.
Love shooting Roman candles. Don't love blowing up gas stations.
No,
So
that's not a good one.
Thanks.
I'm gonna go
to
camping.
Alex.
That's where we usually
Yeah.
take the fireworks.
Yeah, no doubt.
Big thanks to Alex Carpenter for the video. This next one here.
Oh my God,
What?
this one's wild. So take a guess where this
Whoa.
is. If you had to guess, where would you say this is, Caleb?
It's definitely Canmore.
Well, because you said this, it makes me want to guess that it's like Calgary or something.
Oh, it's in Canmore, but guess what road that is?
So I got to give a big shout out to Adam Bortolucci. Sent me this raw video. This was taken on Elk Run Boulevard.
Oh man,
Yeah.
no way.
Yeah.
Canmore.
It's a massive herd, like a couple hundred elk just rolling through. Oh, it's wild.
So big
That's
thanks
really
for raw
cool.
footage. Yeah, the herds of elk. Wild. This happened to my partner Nat by the train station one
Oh,
night.
I've seen it
Walking.
before too. Up by Hostel, it's insane. It's
Yeah.
like it shakes the ground. You're like, oh my God, that's
I've always
wild.
seen herds, but I've never seen them running.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, they will get up to top speed. He said there was probably about 40 of them that ran by before he get his phone out too.
Wow.
So pretty crazy stuff. Thank you for the vid, Adam. We got to thank you for that. Let's move to the last one, man. The last one is the train station. So Banff train stations all been approved. They've been approved to go forward with the environmental impact study. So again, bring non-vehicle traffic, trying to bring non-vehicle traffic, developing the train station to have dining, to have retail, to have staff accommodation included. Very big project we've been kind of following along.
No doubt.
Yeah, the Waterous family is the one that's doing it. The owners of Norquay.
Adam and Jen.
Yeah, so there's lots of that going on. Projects. That project is meant to link up with the train line from the airport. It's another project they're pushing from the Calgary side of things.
Oh, right.
So yeah, what do you think about that?
So you might have touched it. I like trains.
Yeah.
So I've followed this long before it came anywhere near this. It's always made sense to me. 1991 was the last passenger train that came through Banff.
Wow, it was that long ago. Eh?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
The southern line, as they call it, the CN line. The CN line is the one that still exists from Toronto to Vancouver.
Yeah.
It's called the Canadian, which they just recently announced they're going to get brand new trains. No one thought that was going to happen. It's quite exciting.
Cool.
Small tidbit: if you want the old 1955 stainless steel, beautiful jet age trains, you only got a year or two left at most to ride those.
Okay.
They're really cool.
My partner's
But they're
dad's
gonna
huge into
replace them.
trains. Yeah.
Anyways, so I've followed this in great detail, and I'm a huge advocate for it. I see it as the only true way forward to help with all of our crowding, as
Right.
well as like, I go back and forth to the city, I don't know, every 2 to 5 weeks.
It'd be
for
nice to
whatever
have
reason.
Be nice to have another option.
Almost every single time I do it now, obviously it's worse on the weekends, but one way or the other, the traffic is insane.
Oh, it's just
sure.
wild. Yeah.
And one of the things that only dawned on me just last year was like the amount of money. Like, I don't think they've ever put that in the budget. I've always wanted to sit down with the waitresses because I'd love to just have a chat with them. I'm really passionate about that happening one day. I doubt I can help, but I'd love to know about it. Is the amount of money that would be saved on ambulances, helicopters, police, on all the traffic accidents in the wintertime.
Fair.
Right.
The amount of times I would go to the city personally a lot more if the train existed, and I wouldn't drive.
You
So,
wouldn't have.
environmental
Yeah.
impact, right? Times however many other people.
No doubt.
But too, especially just like when the roads are really, really, really bad, like that. By Lac des Arcs is some of the worst stretch of roads I know
It's
of
wild.
in
It's
Canada.
absolutely.
It seems to be like at that perfect elevation to
Yeah.
form.
Funnel the wind through
Yeah.
and just polish the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really hope it happens. Like they managed to raise, I might not have the numbers right, something like $300 million. The banks said they would match that, so they had $600 million. And then it was a year or two ago that the Federal Infrastructure Bank said, we're going to give you $1 billion.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was like the big game changer. And then they were fighting the Alberta government to get a subsidy for the ticket prices because they're like, if the ticket prices are too expensive, people won't take the train.
I would agree.
Fair enough.
100%.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. So they wanted like a 30-year subsidy on the tickets until it's like paid off. And then it's like, you know what? We'll deal with the subsidy after that.
Yeah.
And the Alberta government rejected that. And so that kind of stepped them back. And then now it's only in the last 6-8 months, the Alberta government's like, we need this new massive train network.
Yeah.
We need this rail plan that like came out of nowhere. So they're really hoping to work together with them because
I think initially the plan included a gondola to Norquay.
that was
And
part of the train
yeah,
station
the train-
development.
train
That's
station plan.
completely
Yeah.
separate from the train
okay.
itself.
Okay, interesting.
Yes. Because I actually went to
The train station ARP.
the town meeting
Yeah, yeah.
about the trains, the ARP that they're talking about developing
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now. And they were very adamant and clear that it has nothing to do with the gondola. That's a completely
yeah,
separate
that
thing.
that
that's
whole
valid.
the whole gondola portion was taken out.
Yeah. The national park said that's never going to happen. Who knows? Maybe
We
they
don't need a
change their
second
mind or
gondola.
whatever.
Like that's crazy.
But the thing is, like CP owns all the land. They're kind of above the law in most of Canada.
For
actually.
sure. Big time. Even
So-
in the national park, they're above the law. If I'm not
Calgary's
mistaken.
always said they're on board. Canmore's been undecided.
Well, I read that it would only, or it would be more successful if it was multiple stops. So stop at the Stony Nakota,
Well, yeah.
stop in Canmore, stop in Banff, stop in Lake Louise. That's kind of the only way I see it being really successful because people aren't just coming to Banff. They're doing the whole stretch, right?
The plan is Calgary Airport, downtown Calgary, west side of Calgary,
Okay.
down in the valley near Bowness.
Mhm.
So they could have a big intercept lot.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
people could just drive there and then jump on the train.
Perfect.
Then Cochrane, Morley,
Okay.
Canmore, Banff.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then if that happens with the extension to Lake Louise as like phase 2.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I dream of it one day.
That'd be sick.
I mean, if we're trying to keep vehicles out, that would be the main way. Is will Albertans leave their cars at home and take this alternative mode of traffic, right? I think that's the
I
big
think
question.
enough would.
Yeah,
I think a lot wouldn't, like you're saying.
for sure.
But I think enough would, especially with how bad the traffic's gotten now. The
Absolutely.
highway's a parking lot.
It would be a
It's
no headache
hilarious
issue.
how busy it is.
It's
We got a
outside.
third lane, and
Yeah,
I don't think
it's
it'll
not gonna
make a
difference.
huge difference, honestly.
True.
I dream and hope it happens one day.
Damn. Looks like it's on its way, at least. Like,
it's
When I travel, if there is a train, I take it. The
Interesting.
greatest travel experience I ever had,
yeah.
I got on a train in Edinburgh in Scotland,
Mhm.
and 7 weeks later, after many stops extended, getting off and doing stuff,
Yeah.
7 weeks later, I got off Beijing.
Oh, what?
Yeah, it's the greatest
wild.
adventure I've ever been on in the wintertime. Yeah.
And, you know, if you look at Canada as far as rail usage, like in major cities all over the world, the rail system is a big, big part of the infrastructure. Being from Ottawa, we're currently working on our own rail program there. It's been an absolute disaster for them due to certain design flaws and whatever, but that's their own issues. Yeah.
It requires political will, which is a term that partially reflects into you have to make political, financial decisions
Mhm.
which don't benefit you as a politician, which people don't want to do
Fair.
because it's down the road. Because
100%.
politicians are often short-sighted. So I really hope so. The really big worry is if we're going to have a government change, which I think we all agree is somehow is going to happen,
Definitely.
that $1 billion from the infrastructure bank may disappear,
yeah.
which would be a huge setback for the program. But if Alberta changes its tone, who knows? I don't know.
I did read a few comments worried about the privatization of such a thing in
So I think
national
it's
park.
everything
But I think
else
if
in
anyone's
one.
willing to come and help, like why not accept
Yeah.
the offer, right?
No doubt.
Thanks so much for coming in, Caleb. This has been an awesome
My
time
pleasure.
chatting, sitting
Hell
down. We had a bunch more questions, but I think we've covered
Like I
them all.
said,
I think
I'll
we've
talk
covered them
forever.
all. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much for coming, taking the time. If you made it this far, listen to us. Please hit us a like, hit us a subscribe. It really helps us bring more episodes in the future.
Big time.
But we're not going to stop. We're going to bring you episodes anyways, even if you don't like and subscribe. So whatever. Next week's guest, we got Marta Pietrasek. I don't know if I'm saying that right. World Championship figure skater,
Cool.
figure skating teacher down in Canmore in Bow Valley, has had her hand at Ironman or Iron Women. I don't know how you would say
like
that.
the
Ironman
marathon,
competition,
yeah.
triathlons. Yeah,
Crazy.
has competed in a bunch of those, including
Wow.
the national championships last year in New Zealand. So she's coming into Chat Live at 1 p.m. next week, diving into some of that. It's going to be pretty exciting. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I've never really touched into the synchronized figure skating myself, but
No.
I'm excited to next week.
That'd be sweet.
Right.
Yeah. World famous, man.
World famous.
That's wild.
You want to drop your Instagram? People want to give you a follow?
Yeah, it's Captain Canada with 3 underscores in the middle because there's some other one else who claims they're Captain Canada. It's all good, though.
We've been tagging him everywhere, so go ahead and if you're on our social media, don't be shy to give him a follow. You can follow his travels. What, 50 different countries? He said
Something
like
that's crazy. I don't know.
Dang.
It's not a contest.
It's not a contest.
It's true.
I usually only post when I'm traveling for the most part. So
Cool. Fair. Thanks, y'all, for tuning in. Like every week.
See you next Tuesday.